This year, America celebrates its 250th birthday. Every week leading up to 4th of July, we will be marking the milestone in a new series that we are calling USA to Z. We are doing it all in alphabetical order, starting with A, the American dream. Tony Dokoupil looks at where that cherished ideal stands today.
It's one of our main selling points.
You can make it here in America if you're willing to try.
A promise drawing people here for a quarter millennium.
They believe in the American dream.
But practically speaking, how alive is the dream today?
Hey, how are you?
We recently checked in on the American dream by visiting the mall in New Jersey with the same name. And the view from the escalators...
Do you believe in the American dream?
Yes, sir.
You do?
Yes,
was
sir.
that the American dream is not only alive.
Growing up, what were you told about the American dream?
It was the house with the white picket fence and a couple of kids and a car, and then you retire and move to Florida. And
White picket fence.
White picket fence, everyone says that.
Kind of building yourself your roots here.
Skipping communism.
Right.
Did you escape communism?
Yeah.
But for many Americans out there,
I came here as an immigrant, and I got an opportunity, and I made it work for myself.
feel they're living it.
Their dad is African American, I'm Cuban, so it doesn't get more beautiful than that as far as being an American.
How do you feel about the chance for your kids to live the American dream?
I'm super excited for them.
And yet,
do you think it's going to be as attainable for the next generation?
I hope so.
That's not a yes.
Faith in the American dream has fallen over the years.
I define the American dream based still on its original definition. It is a better, richer, happier life for all our citizens of every rank.
New York Times editorial director David Leonhardt explains.
And how's it doing?
I would say it is not dead, despite people on both the right and the left claiming it is dead. But it is not as strong as it used to be.
He lays out why in his book, Ours Was the Shining Future.
A baby born in this country in 1940 would grow up to have a 90% chance to out-earn his or her parents. A baby born in 1980, it's a coin flip.
A lot of Americans have noticed.
Did you think growing up with college degrees it was going to be easier?
Yes, because that was the dream.
Costs only seem to go up, while work feels less secure than ever.
A lot of the companies that people worked for back in the day, you could work at a factory and, retire from there and have really good benefits. Your pension, retirement was set.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore.
In a New York Times poll a quarter century ago, 85% of Americans said they believe it's possible to be who you want here. But by 2024, Pew reported just 53% think the American dream is still achievable.
It really sucks, because I see many generations, they're able to pursue what they want to know. They went to college, they were able to have kids and be okay. But right now, with this economy, not really.
Mothers at one point weren't always out working full-time jobs. Now that's not really an option.
Your dad, I presume, works. He had one income, and you were fine. And now you're both working, and you're
trying to make ends meet.
And yet, whatever the damage to the dream today, as we mark America's 250th birthday, no, in some ways, it's all been a dream.
I think people in 1776 would have had a difficult time comprehending how prosperous we are today. And I also don't think that they would have expected in 1776 that the United States was the most powerful country in the world, which it still is. If our start point is 1776 and our end point is today, I would say the American dream has done extremely well over the last 250 years.
And a big part of that dream is a simple fact.
What will you teach them about the American dream that's different from what you were taught?
You get to create your own American dream. It's not just what someone else defines it as. You define it for yourself.
We always have the possibility to rebuild it.
Oh, I like this here. I think David is spot on.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about the American dream is alive, but
right.
There's a but. I still believe, though.
It's part of it. It's an economic situation, right?
Yeah.
The fact that young people now have more debt than their parents and their grandparents had. They may be better educated. They may have better access to medicine and medical benefits and breakthroughs. But the debt and how expensive life has become is what's crushing them.
This week is B for beautiful. as in America the Beautiful. At a time when many Americans feel divided, we turn to kids to bridge that divide by asking sixth graders at Langston Hughes Middle School in Reston, Virginia, what they believe makes America beautiful. Backed by the Annandale High School Band and Chorus.
America the Beautiful, from the billowing flag and the bright blue sea to the kindergarten teacher who taught me to read. The loving hands who hold ours tight, or the parents who work tirelessly in the dead of night.
It's the sunrise that paints the sky with colors you can't name, the rhythm of music that makes your heart skip, the kindness of a stranger that lifts your spirit.
Fireworks celebrating us, hot dogs and s'mores galore. Every year, we cherish our beginnings, 250 years since we won that war.
But home is where the heart is, and the souls of all our friends, all beautifully different, diversity to no end. No life too small, no life too great, a place of love, not of hate.
America holds an unlimited amount of opportunities for all sorts of people. The timid, the outgoing, and of course the shy. All people can have an opportunity in America if they really want it.
What makes America beautiful isn't the golden sand beaches or the snow-covered mountains. It's the freedom that America guarantees. America is the only country where you can get a job and have support no matter your background.
My life as a middle schooler is great because of the people that help me learn new things on a daily basis.
America is beautiful because of the people. The different cultures that make up our way of life, the hundreds of languages people speak across the nation, the different foods from all over the world, all brought to one place for everyone to enjoy. Beauty is found in the dreams we create along the way, the freedom to be whoever we want, the hopes we set for our future.
We have the most beautiful country, full of diverse cultures that sets us apart from other countries. Instead of not accepting it, we embrace it and make it a part of our own culture. And that's why America is beautiful.
Beauty is found in the flowers that bloom in the spring and the leaves that dance in the wind during fall. Beauty is in the diversity we see everywhere we go. Beauty is in the friends we make throughout the journey we call life. It is in the hopes and dreams everyone holds in their hearts. Beauty is in everything and everyone.
You're not perfect. None of us are, because we're all human. And that's what makes America so beautiful. We find beauty in imperfections.
Overall, America, through its highs and its lows, has persevered, and I'm proud to be an American.
This land of the free, a place for me, a place for you and everyone in between.
Oh, say, can you see?
All the endless opportunities, the land of the beautiful, the land of the free. The hearts who reach out with a shoulder to cry on, a special person to always rely on. I love the love that runs through the veins of this beautiful country, the USA.
That was beautiful.
I think so, too. I mean, I feel the way those kids do. You know, despite everything that we're going through and have been through and are going through now, I still really love this country. Every time I come back and you go to JFK and it says, welcome to New York. I know,
Yep,
it gives me a little tingle.
Yeah, 100%. And children see magic because they look for it.
Yes.
And it's right around us, right? In this beautiful country of ours.
It's good to see they feel that way, too, though.
100%.
Yeah, there is an innocence and a purity in their gaze and how they see the U.S.
Yes.
And I feel like us as adults and our elected leaders, we have a responsibility to not cloud that
That's
gaze.
right.
In this stately hall in the nation's capital, the foundation of American government sits proudly on display.
New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and they sign from north to south.
But below the crowds,
these are handwritten notes.
Yes.
In the basement,
This is literally George Washington's
Washington's
actual handwriting.
It's his handwriting.
in a preservation lab built nearly 100 years ago,
He had the best handwriting of any of the founding fathers.
this is where the magic happens. It's an art for Senior Conservator at the National Archives, Morgan Browning. He and his team have spent years preparing the celebrations for America 250.
So this goes to Congress. Congress actually approves and says yes.
Their latest effort was putting rarely seen amendments on display with the Constitution.
When I started out, I could only dream of working on things like this. And then, fast forward 20 years. I mean, it's an immense privilege, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you ever kind of think about how it's also such a huge responsibility?
It's a responsibility, especially when you think of the Constitution and the amendments. It's so relevant today.
About 1 million people every year come to see the original U.S. Constitution and its amendments, with the framers' unique signatures.
It's an opportunity to renew those bonds as Americans.
Jim Byron is senior advisor to the archivist.
We have 13.5 billion pieces of paper, 30 billion.
Billion?
Billion with a B. So America 250 is an incredible opportunity to expose and show more of what's in the archives.
How many of you found what you read empowering?
In nearby Chevy Chase, Maryland,
So they were giving away their freedom papers to other...
teacher Amy Gleason is working to keep it relevant,
They just had to figure that out themselves.
bringing the document to life for her students in a time when faith in government has been waning.
I really want them to see the humanity in history, that it's not just this old document.
For Gleason's fifth graders, the Constitution unit is the highlight of the year, filled with reenactments, immersive lessons, and even a constitutional convention.
There's so many great things to know about who we are as a country and as a nation. And I think just to celebrate that, we also have to look at those missteps. We also have to understand where we didn't do it right so that we can do it right later. And I feel like as an educator, it's my job to help these kids see that they are a part of this and that they can have a voice.
A voice this group of 10 and 11-year-olds has been happy to embrace.
It makes us feel like a part of history. So we get to argue for our point and see everyone's side and how they thought of it. And it also made me feel like I was there at the time. And like as a woman, they wouldn't let them in. So it was really cool just being there and being a part of history.
I could really understand it because I was that person there.
You were a delegate.
So I was Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
So I could easily understand what it would be like to be there and having discussions on what America should be like.
How many of you see that humanity again?
Discussions about America's future and ideals written and signed in this enduring document.
And what's the message there, do you think? What does that say to us?
That we can accomplish things.
We can accomplish things.
Yeah.
Very much. We can make this world better. There's things we can do to change it if only one person would stand up and do it.
This week, we celebrate a staple of our cuisine and culture, D for diner.
When it comes to American food, there's perhaps nothing more quintessential than the American diner. Its roots date back to Providence, Rhode Island, over 150 years ago. A tasteful history diner expert Richard Gutman has studied closely.
The first diners were called night lunch wagons, and they served people who were out at night after other restaurants had closed. The diner was a place that was open to all and served quick food at a good price.
Lunch wagons later transformed into lunch cars, stationary fixtures that resembled train cars. Wilson's Diner in Waltham, Massachusetts opened in 1946 and remains one of the few original lunch cars still operating.
Any french fries?
That lunch car design has helped inspire the classic diner look we see today.
The diner is unique in the landscape in that no other building looks like a diner. But you know what it is when you see it, and what other building really announces itself in that way.
At Boulevard Diner in Worcester, Massachusetts,
Who has a bully?
once known as Lunch Car Number 730,
Good morning, Boulevard.
it's as busy as it was when they first fired up the grill in 1936.
You're welcome.
The George family is now onto its fourth generation of family members running the show in the kitchen, including short order cook Gabriella George.
This is a multi-generational family business. For many, that's the American dream. How important is that to your family?
It's very important. It means a lot.
Why do you think that people still enjoy the diner experience?
I think they come for the vibes. They come for a slightly cheaper food. They come for the home-cooked meals. I think they could just come for the love.
The scrambled bacon.
Beyond fascination for the cuisine, where ordering breakfast for dinner is a welcomed request, diners have also become a symbol of American culture.
Diners have become iconic in films. They're identifiable with American culture.
Gutman estimates there are around 2,000 diners operating across the country today, down from 3 times that number in the 1950s. Like many small businesses, rising rent and labor costs have driven some diners to close. But in New Jersey, deemed the diner capital of the world, with at least 400 of them throughout the state, the appetite for diners remains steady. Tops Diner in Newark was named the best diner in America in 2017, serving upwards of 15,000 customers a week, under the helm of co-owner James Galemis.
Cook that burger up right now.
Why do you think diners are so iconic to America?
I don't know. It's like, why is the Statue of Liberty in New York City so amazing? I've never been there. When you go outside and you see like license plates from like other states all over, and they stop here, it's such a good feeling.
Time to dig in.
Oh my God. Oh, that's really good.
While the number of diners has dwindled over the years, Gutman believes they might just hold the secret recipe for standing the test of time.
The concept of the diner will be here forever, and I am one to say that they will never go away.
I would never want a diner to go away.
No, I like looking at Kelly eat because you were really
I like
chomping.
eating. I was like,
oh
give
my
me,
gosh.
just keep talking so I can keep eating.
But there's nothing better, I think, than breakfast at a really good diner in New York. Have you ever been to Golden Diner for
I've
their
been to Golden
pancakes?
Diner. I've gotten the pancakes. Are
It's
insane.
worth waiting.
I did a
in
dish
line.
on that.
You did?
Yeah, it was part of like the influencers, and we went to Golden and had the pancake.
Oh man, it's
diners forever.
But I want to go to Tops now.
We'll go together.
All right.
We are back in San Francisco covering the run-up to the Super Bowl, one of the events every year that defines America. Those defining moments are also the focus of our series, USA to Z, celebrating our country's 250th birthday this summer. This week, we are up to E for equality. And the road to equality for all Americans has required some bloodshed and sacrifice. As we mark 100 years of Black History Month, we visited the site of a South Carolina bowling alley. It was once defined by exclusion and is now being reclaimed and redefined. The small town of Orangeburg, nestled between Columbia and Charleston, is packed with history of its own.
We've had about 70,000 people to come.
Cecil Williams is a local historian, born and raised here. He remembers a time when race determined where you could go and where you couldn't.
In 1968, most of South Carolina, and especially most of Orangeburg, had already opened its doors to people of color. But there were a few pockets of resistance, and one of them was a bowling lanes here.
All-Star Bowling Lanes sits just minutes from Orangeburg's 2 historically Black universities, Claflin and South Carolina State. In the 1960s, owner Harry Floyd refused to integrate.
Mr. Floyd, why have you not permitted Negroes to bowl at your bowling alley here in Orangeburg?
Because I have my own customers that patronize me 52 weeks a year. They support me year in and year out. I need no other business.
Students from both universities organized protests. What began as peaceful attempts to enter the bowling alley on February 6, 1968, escalated into a confrontation between students and police.
A glass was accidentally broken in a window where we were all standing around. Police authorities really overreacted. Those with weapons started pulling them from their right side.
On February 8th, after days of demanding entry into the bowling alley, a new confrontation between students and police erupted and took a deadly turn, now known as the Orangeburg Massacre.
It was an attempt to integrate this bowling alley last Monday night that started this state of emergency. It is the last totally segregated business in Orangeburg.
What do you remember about that day specifically?
I think there were around 30 highway patrolmen and 200 National Guardsmen that were in the streets. About 10 o'clock that evening, highway patrolmen began firing on the students, killing 3 and injuring 28.
And when did you get to the scene?
The next morning, I arrived on the campus, and I looked down on the ground and I saw shells and other things that were on the ground. I picked up about a dozen. The FBI later confiscated 5 of them. 2 were lost, and I have 5 that are remaining with me. This still yet today rings very heavily on my heart because I knew the students that were photographed. I had photographed them for the yearbook.
3 students, Henry Smith, Samuel Hammond, and Delano Middleton, were killed. 9 officers were charged with using excessive force, but later acquitted.
Actually, that event could have been worse. But this proves to me there are more good people than there are bad.
Of course.
The attention went out for 30 highway patrolmen to load their weapons, but only 9 obeyed. Obeyed one of the highest ranked law enforcement officers to load their weapons and begin shooting the students.
South Carolina State College remains closed today following last Thursday night's bloody battle in which 3 Negroes were killed and 36 others injured in a fight with police.
The only conviction was protest organizer Cleveland Sellers, who served 7 months on a riot charge. He was pardoned 25 years later. All-Star bowling lanes stayed open for nearly 40 more years, integrating only after continued community pressure before closing permanently due to financial issues in 2007. Now, new owner Ellen Zuschholz is leading efforts to restore the historic site with nonprofit and federal support.
This is the future for this city, and it's going to be a place of history and remembrance, but it's also going to be a place to have a really good time and for the community to come together.
Right.
And I believe that this is the key to reconciliation.
Michael Butler is the mayor of Orangeburg and a resident of the city for more than 4 decades. What is your response to people who may say, you know what, we understand that preserving history can be helpful, but at the same time, how about we just leave it alone?
You can't move forward until you get healed or you're able to deal with the pain of the past. So we have to find a common ground to move forward.
This history must be told. You can't just chuck it neatly under a rug and forget about it.
Of course.
History is something like freedom. You have to work at it. It doesn't come free. Freedom is not free. It has to be earned. And generation after generation, sometimes we have to kind of tweak it again.
And I know that tragedies from the past can be painful, but being able to remember helps us reconcile. And speaking of that, the bowling alley is set to open later this year, which really means a lot to the community and to what has happened before. Vlad?
Yeah, Nate, it's the remembering in that it's living history. This happened only a few short years ago, and we are lucky that there are still people around to talk about it. Today, we mark F for freedom. Amid the constant debate over immigration in this country, we're looking back at what's been dubbed the Ellis Island of the South. Back in the 1960s and 70s, Miami's Freedom Tower welcomed nearly 500,000 Cuban refugees. Christian Benavidez explores the tower's enduring legacy, representing American values.
Cuban Americans came here to rebuild their lives from what was ripped away from them.
Vivian Quiroga was 7 when her father brought her and the rest of her family to America in 1969.
What do you remember?
As a young child, it was a new adventure, so I do remember everybody was carrying suitcases. It was a lot of mixed emotions.
More than 400,000 Cuban exiles, doctors, lawyers, professionals poured into Miami to escape Fidel Castro's dictatorship.
A lot of businesses were confiscated. The firing squads for anybody that would oppose the regime, it was rapidly deteriorating in such a way that parents were very worried, and mostly for their children.
Sylvia Iriondo was 15.
This place was crowded, was full.
And still remembers the fear and relief once they reached the Freedom Tower, where all the refugees were processed.
El Refugio, that was the name that we gave it when we arrived here. A beacon of hope and of American generosity. We were welcomed we were helped.
Refugees received food, clothing, and a monthly stipend, $120 per family, just enough to start over.
People were given an opportunity here, and America is all about giving people an opportunity.
Rene Ramos curates the museum's exhibits based on hundreds of oral histories he collected. Many families recalled the fear of indoctrination under Castro. To protect their children, parents sent more than 14,000 unaccompanied minors to the U.S. under Operation Peter Pan.
If you are a parent and you know what it means to be separated from your child when they're small, I think that's a gauge of what they felt.
Oriondo's family learned to adapt, even stuffing newspaper in their clothes to keep warm their first winter, until an American neighbor brought them a heater.
Yes, it was tough, but we had a goal, and we were going to make the country that opened its arms to us proud of us.
Miami's Cuban community would do just that, building businesses, culture, and civic life that transformed the city.
The Tamiami Trail now symbolizes an economic miracle brought about by Miami's Cuban refugees.
It's estimated that approximately 1 out of 7 Miami residents is now Cuban.
It was enough to get started, to get a foothold, and to start making the connections with a community that was starting to rise here.
Today, Freedom Tower, now part of Miami-Dade College, has been around more than a century.
They came with nothing. Nothing. Absolutely. And if that's not a driver for you to succeed as their children, I don't know what is.
A testament to American generosity and the people who left Cuba behind for a chance at freedom. For CBS Mornings, I'm Cristian Benavides in Miami.
This week, we are up to G for Grid, featuring a World War II legend who continues to inspire women today. Rosie the Riveter from the iconic We Can Do It poster with her rolled up sleeve and red polka dot bandana became a symbol of strength on the home front. Now, a new generation of Rosies is taking on a huge project in Richmond, California, using lessons from women who blazed the trail before them. Elizabeth Cook has the story.
Floating in a corner of the San Francisco Bay, an almost forgotten relic of World War II is getting her glam up.
Is it hard for you to walk around here and not see things you want to touch and fix right now?
It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. I mean, everywhere you look.
Aboard the SS Red Oak Victory,
the battle raged without let-up,
which saw action in the Pacific Theater.
I'm just ready to go.
Today, Renee Ross leads a very special team, working to restore the ship to its former glory, channeling the spirit of a bygone era. The legendary World War II Rosies.
Young women of America helping to keep them flying.
What made you want to take on this project?
I thought, well, how amazing would it be to come out here with a crew of women to do these restorations?
A veteran of the male-dominated welding trade, Ross saw the spark in empowering her female colleagues.
How great is it to come out here and have, you know, your sisters side by side.
Women everywhere sprang to serve their country.
Just knowing that some of those women had a hand in building it, it's kind of like that full circle moment.
The women who entered the wartime workforce were represented by that World War II icon, Rosie the Riveter. Two of those pioneers, Ernestine Ween and Jeannie Gibson.
I was doing something that wasn't done by women before. Getting equal pay for equal work when I was welding changed my whole life because I wouldn't take less after that.
For these members of the greatest generation, being on board brings it all home.
It's like bringing history back. It's exciting to see it come back to life. I'm proud of them.
Oh, so am I.
You got to have this red and white polka dot bandana. Oops.
Right here.
After being added to the sisterhood,
you are now official.
I'm ready. I learned how to operate the ship's World War II era cargo winch.
It's amazing to me that it was manufactured during World War II.
And built by women.
Yes.
I mean, that's got to mean something when you're touching some of this gear. You're thinking, my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, and then flip it down.
And as an honorary Rosie, I was given a crash course.
Keep pushing down.
In welding.
I'm leaving my mark on this ship.
Saving a piece of history right here on board.
It's my lug nut right there.
You see yourself in the Rosies.
Absolutely. That kind of grit. But if it wasn't for those women during that time, we would have never even thought it possible.
For these two original Rosies,
does that bring new meaning to walking around this ship and seeing them do that work?
I'm proud of them that they're doing this. Go, girl.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Elizabeth Cook in Richmond, California.
Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos is set to visit the White House today as the bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery heats up. Now, it's unclear if Sarandos will meet with President Trump. Netflix's bid to take over the entertainment giant is in flux after a new offer from Paramount Skydance, the parent company of CBS. So it's fitting that the subject of our America 250 series, USA to Z, this morning is H for Hollywood. Jolene Kent explores its history and future.
In so many ways, Hollywood is iconic.
Timothy, one more, Timothy!
From the sign, to the Walk of Fame, to the studio lots, where dreams of making it big spring to life.
Hollywood is actually like a physical place, but it's also an idea. And the idea has lit the world for 100 years.
But in 2026, that idea is changing rapidly, says longtime actor and Screen Actors Guild president Sean Astin.
I think it's pretty easy to say that most of us have developed very short attention spans. But sometimes you want to stop scrolling and sit down in a movie theater and watch something together.
The movies and celebrity culture became one of our most important exports, shaping the idea of America overseas. Legendary film critic Leonard Maltin.
Well, in some ways, the evolution of Hollywood is the evolution of technology, and it's often on the cutting edge of technology. Look at CGI, computer-generated imagery. No one could have predicted the impact that Netflix would have. They really disrupted business as usual.
How would you describe the state of Hollywood right now?
I think there's anxiety, and there should be.
Ted Sarandos is the co-CEO of Netflix.
We are intentionally located right now in the center of Hollywood. The idea of this is that we wanted to kind of plant a flag and say that we want to be part of the next century of Hollywood. Technology has kind of driven every advancement in Hollywood.
The pandemic and recent strikes have sent many Hollywood jobs into thin air, and some leading figures warned that AI could further erode livelihoods here.
People believe it's a dream come true to work in TV and movies, but that's becoming harder. Is the entertainment industry dying here?
Absolutely not. Every development requires a skilled team of people to do the work. Those people are here in California.
But so many people are saying to us, we're not getting enough work these days.
I think what happens is there's been a lot of competition for production. And California, with all of its history and all of its legacy, they also have to compete more. Georgia and New Jersey most recently.
Hollywood is shifting.
Filmmaker and actor Nicole Collins and her daughter, Aiden and Collard, who recently appeared in Sinners, just moved back to New Orleans from Los Angeles.
I knew that coming back home was the right choice for us mentally, emotionally, financially. Los Angeles feels like it's even drying up.
But for Sarandos, making movies and TV shows anywhere in America is what matters.
No one in the world is better than the United States at telling the world stories. It's also really rooted in our own First Amendment. I think that freedom that this country stands for has led to the great storytelling that has led to this great industry.
However Hollywood transforms the future, it's that ideal that keeps so many people watching.
What do you hope Hollywood will bring to Americans going forward?
I hope Hollywood continues to be an idea that lights the world with inspiration, with joy, with meaning.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Jolene Kent in Hollywood, California.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I want to believe what Ted Sarandos says. There's always been disruption in the film industry. Famously, when there was sound added to films, that disrupted the industry. People thought it was the end of movies as we knew them then in the silent era. And of course it led, when color came in, when wide 35 millimeter came in, it's all been disruptive, and it's all been better for us, the viewers.
I'm a big Ted Sarandos fan. Something tells me he knows what he's doing. To be continued for sure.
This week's letter is I for immigration. An analysis by the American Immigration Council found nearly half of last year's Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children. This morning, 3 immigrant entrepreneurs talk about their journey to citizenship and the businesses they built with flavors that honor their roots.
When I think of Jamaican food, I think of my childhood days when I first came to this country, gathering with family in our small apartments. But to me, our apartment was huge, made bigger through the atmosphere we created within those walls, people eating, singing, dancing. We had a term for gathering with friends to cook and hang out called run a boat. And one of the easiest things to make was jerk chicken. I came to America in my teens, went to school, and built a great life here. But I always wanted something more. In 2016, on my way home from work, I heard a man on the radio explaining his vision for what would ultimately become Queens Night Market. Vendors from across the globe coming together to showcase the cuisines of their countries of origin at affordable prices. This was my shot.
Crecí en México en una ciudad llamada Irapuato, Guanajuato, cerca de Guadalajara. When I was 20 years old, I crossed the border with my father, but he returned to Mexico right away and left me in New Jersey with my sister. She had just gotten married and was pregnant, so I stayed to help her with a newborn and keep her company. Yo tenía miedo, era muy joven y nunca había estado lejos de mis padres. During the first year, I met my husband at church. My 1-year stay turned into a permanent home.
I came to the U.S. at the age of 2 from Aleppo, Syria. My parents moved here for better opportunities, and we settled in Paterson, New Jersey. As an Arab-American immigrant, I watched for years as the ingredients and recipes of the Levantine region were diluted by a simple, oversimplified label, Mediterranean. It's okay to say Middle Eastern, while the same Mediterranean seawater that touches the shores of France, Spain, and Greece also touches the beaches of the Levant. Our foods are our own, distinct, rich, deeply rooted in history that spans thousands of years.
If I could, I would grill all hours of the night. When I close my eyes, it always brings a smile to my face.
For many years, I made and sold tamales to local bakeries, about 1,000 tamales a week, all from my home. Eventually, bakery orders started to slow down, so I have to adapt. I redesigned my menu. I perfect my recipes, using my children as my taste testers.
During the pandemic, I wanted to reclaim our story through Casbo's Middle Eastern Kitchen. As a cheesemaker, I always make sure that my recipe reflects the heart of the Middle East through my special ingredient, mahleb. It comes from seeds of cherry pits native to the region.
The road hasn't been easy. Blood, sweat, and tears won't keep your business afloat. You have to be savvy and gain access to resources that many immigrants are not born with. But my goal here is to share the lessons I've learned with those who care to listen, those who have the potential and drive to do what I have been able to do.
When people eat my food, I want them to feel my culture, the warmth of family kitchens, and the way meals bring people together.
Syrian cheese has become the bridge I've always wanted to build. Every bite moves us further away from headlines and stereotypes. It helps me teach the beauty of where I come from in a place I call home. And what's more American than that?
Oh, I love that. And you see the American flag behind her. Yes. I love that we're highlighting these immigrant stories and the American dream, you know, but I can't help but think about all of our reporting from immigrant communities right now that are living in fear, but we are really a country of immigrants.
Right.
It just goes back different times. We were just talking during the piece about my parents from the Dominican Republic, your parents
from Haiti.
And Kelly, your great-grandmother?
Yeah, Ireland. Yeah.
And I think what's been interesting over the course of the last couple of years is that you've seen over successive presidential administrations an attempt to try and stem the problem that we faced with illegal and undocumented immigration, and it hasn't worked. The Congress has not done its job, which is why we find ourselves in this situation now. But you're right, the fear that people have, and also you're challenging the existential question of what this piece is about, which is this country is a country of immigrants, and right now immigrants feel not welcome.
And the economic prosperity that has come. I mean, this piece highlighted 4 businesses. I mean, so many. And that is really a very important point of what that's going to mean for the future if we don't have that brain power and that economic push.
This week's letter is J for Jazz. That's what you're hearing there. Trombone Shorty. So who better to honor the New Orleans-born art form than the Grammy-winning jazz musician Troy Andrews, better known as Trombone Shorty. And he's worked with everyone from Pharrell to Lenny Kravitz to the Foo Fighters. And this morning, he shares a love letter to the genre that has cherished for as long as he can remember.
The first time I heard a brass band, I was still in my mom's belly. Music was everywhere in the Treme neighborhood of New Orleans where I grew up, and I can't imagine life without it. When you heard those horns coming down the street, nothing else mattered. You ran out the door and joined the parade. Growing up, there was a trombone player in our neighborhood named Keith Anderson, but everyone called him Wolf. He had so much soul that he couldn't stand still. Every note out of his horn was accompanied by a physical movement that was so entertaining, so captivating that you couldn't take your eyes off him. I always knew that was the kind of artist I wanted to be. I played my first jazz fest at age 4 when Bo Diddley invited me to join him on stage. I started my first brass band at 6. Since then, the music I soaked up in the streets of New Orleans has taken me everywhere from the Grammy Awards to the White House. More importantly, though, it's taught me how to connect and communicate in ways far deeper than words could ever allow. Jazz is built on improvisation, on freedom, which is ironic considering it was born out of the rhythms of the enslaved and popularized by African Americans living through segregation and Jim Crow. In a world of violent and oppressive discrimination, performing this music was the closest thing to freedom that many black people ever knew. It was an aspirational reach for the liberty and justice that had been denied for so long. My latest record, Second Line Sunday, features a lot of improvisation with my friends and family of the New Breed Brass Band. If everyone in the band decides to go their own way, the songs will fall apart. But if you listen to each other, you can create something brand new, something far greater than the sum of its parts. In that sense, I think jazz is the most fundamentally American music there is. It's a living, breathing embodiment of democracy. Every instrument coming together in a harmony that wouldn't exist otherwise. The chords can be sad, joyous, pain, triumphant, holding up a mirror to this country at its worst, while turning the spotlights on America's ambition and our mixing of culture, our nation at its best. Over the last 250 years, jazz built the bedrock of nearly every type of modern American music we know today. Buddy Bolden and Louis Armstrong laid the foundation for Fats Domino and Dave Bartholomew, who paved the way for the Neville Brothers and Dr. John, who opened the door for Big Freedia and Lil Wayne. Where the music goes next is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure, America will be listening.
You can hear the pride when he talks, too.
I mean, jazz as the ultimate American art form, the ultimate American invention that has been exported around the world. I mean, that was a beautiful tribute to
Yeah, I really enjoy these A to Z pieces that we're doing. And shout out to you, Sammy Rappaport. I remember when Sammy started here, Samantha.
Yes.
Because she produced that piece, Go You, it was great. And Mary Seformis, the editor. Because I don't know if people, I say this all the time, realize how hard it is to do a piece where you have no track, where you just talk about, let the person tell the story and let the words let the picture tell the story.
Right.
It's very, very difficult to do and have it make sense.
I wonder what Timothy Chalamet thinks about jazz. I'm joking, Timothy. Come on the show and let's talk about it.
He could never step to Coltrane and Louis or any of those.
All right,
Is that how you're trying to get him here?
Yeah, come on the show. You know we love you, bro.
This week is K for Kentucky bourbon, and we're taking a look at its role in U.S. history and its deep roots in American culture. Bourbon is especially meaningful for one family. Skylar Henry visited a distillery in Kentucky where 3 generations of distillers are toasting their legacy.
In the rolling hills of Kentucky's bluegrass region, the spirit of whiskey is as strong as ever. With 125 distilleries across the state, barrel-aged bourbon isn't just made here, it was born here.
So this is a good example of bourbon tourism.
As president of the Kentucky Distillers Association, Eric Gregory has come to know a thing or two about whiskey history.
What makes this the perfect place for such an incredible drink?
We're very blessed that when the early pioneers came to settle the frontier 200 years ago to Kentucky, that, you know, they were growing corn and they were trying to figure out something to do so their excess corn didn't rot. And they turned it into whiskey. So a lot of these were Scotch-Irish immigrants who already had some knowledge. We have an abundance of corn here, great farmland, fertile soils. We have water that's the purest in the world. So once they figured out, hey, this is a sweet spot for making bourbon, they stayed.
In 1964, Congress declared it official. Bourbon is America's native spirit, and it can only be made in the United States under a strict production process.
You can't add flavoring, you can't add colors or anything like that. What you see at a distillery is what you get. It is at least 51% corn. You're gonna add a secondary grain to it, rye if you want a little spicy, wheat if you want it to be a little more mellow. And then you stick it in a barrel and let it go. And that's where the magic really happens.
Today, Kentucky produces an average of 3 million barrels of bourbon a year.
We make 95% of all the world's bourbon a year. And our governor likes to say the other 5% is counterfeit.
How many barrels are in here?
This will only hold about 14,000.
At Wild Turkey, one of the state's oldest distilleries, a passion for whiskey is deeply rooted in the Russell family tree. Eddie and Bruce Russell are father and son whiskey makers.
You're getting whiskey right out of the barrel.
Following in the footsteps of their family patriarch, Jimmy Russell.
You know, I was amazed when I was a little kid. I followed him out here on Saturdays and Sundays.
The 91-year-old is the longest tenured master distiller in the world.
70-some years later, he's still driving through here to make sure everything's going on.
And he's best known as the Buddha of bourbon.
He started when he was 19 years old with just a high school education. And he's gonna end his career with his name on bottles that are sold around the world. And he really is kind of a Mount Rushmore figure in our industry. I mean, it's something really special.
The 3 generations of the Russell family have more than 100 years combined experience in whiskey making, a rarity in any business, but especially this one, where time is key. Wild Turkey ages its bourbon in American white oak barrels for a minimum of 5 years before it's flavorful enough for bottling.
Cheers.
Cheers. And drinking. I got a pour of their famous Wild Turkey 101 blend.
You smell a little vanilla, not so much alcohol.
I'm chewing it a little bit.
That's right. Definitely a long way to finish.
Whiskey has been a $9 billion annual economic and tourism powerhouse for the state of Kentucky. But last year, the industry experienced a significant decline, in part because of tariffs, but also because Americans are drinking less.
What's next?
For an industry that looks out in years versus days, we always look out into the future. We're going to just have to figure out how do we continue to convince people to convert from what they're drinking now and realize that if you want the world's best whiskey, try Kentucky.
Just sit the rest of it.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Skyler Henry in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
I love the concept of this being a three-generation dynasty.
I do too.
And what people don't really know at home is that when we sip these, it's bourbon inside.
Should we thank the family?
We should thank the family.
Yes.
Thank you. No, we're kidding, of course.
This week is L for Legacy, a look at the legacies we aspire to leave behind and how they can shape generations to come. Ian Lee visited a small town in southeast Kansas where legacy is at the core of the foundation of its very first library.
Frontenac, Kansas isn't the most famous place. Fewer than 3,500 people live here. But its rich history runs as deep as the nearby coal veins. Founded in 1886, it's seen boom and bust. So it's not often the small town gets big news until in 2019, when City Administrator John Zafuda received an unexpected message.
It was a surprise phone call from an attorney who said that we were the sole beneficiary of the Tavella Family Trust. And the only stipulation was that we had to build a city library.
It was quite a big chunk of change that was being donated.
It was. It ended up being somewhere around $4.6 million.
You heard that right. A whopping $4.6 million. City officials say they've never heard of the Tavellas before, but after some digging, they discovered Richard and Jeanette both grew up in southeast Kansas. Jeanette was raised in Frontenac before moving to Kansas City to work as a librarian. So building her hometown's first public library in its 140-year history was the Tavellas' dying wish, or rather gift.
I like
These four? Okay. 6 years later, the Frontenac Public Library has opened its doors. More than 17,000 books fill the shelves.
What is a community without a library?
That's a really good question. I think that the community of Frontenac really didn't know what they were missing.
Frontenac native Seth Nutt landed the role of library director. His mission was to turn the Tavellas' dream into reality.
What was the hub for the community before this library was built in Frontenac?
People still gather over at the gas station, in the morning, but there truly wasn't a place for people to gather. The mothers that bring their kids in here in the morning, where did they meet before? I truly think that that's something that we just didn't have available here in the city of Frontenac.
This library's kind of become the heart of the community.
Yeah, and that was really our goal along, is to make this into the living room of the community.
This living room has a coffee shop and local history museum. And for that lived-in feeling, activities for the community, like story time for toddlers.
They gather close until.
And cooking classes for teens.
There we go. There we go. Thank you.
The new library is a hit, with folks checking out over 5,000 books in its first 4 months.
Honestly, this library has become kind of like my little safe haven.
You hear people debate, do you need a library, do you not? And once you see it and once you see how involved the community is with it, we've definitely needed it.
I never really imagined that Frontenac would be getting one.
If Richard and Jeanette were sitting right here, right now, what would you say to them?
What do you think? I would want to know their opinion. And if they didn't like something or thought we were missing something, I'd be asking, well, how can we make it right? I would want them to be proud of the building just like we are.
You think they'd be proud?
I think so. I think so.
So, do you know where they're buried?
Yeah, right over here.
After some more research, Nutt made his most important discovery. The Tavellas were buried just down the road.
So the only real indication that they ever existed is this gravesite and now that library.
Right.
That library is their legacy.
It is very much their legacy.
Buttons come and buttons go. Pete looked down at his buttonless shirt.
What is the lesson you think our viewers can take away from this story?
Anybody can leave a mark, whether it's big or small. Everybody can have an impact.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Ian Lee, Frontenac, Kansas.
Oh, I love that story. And listen, guys, we're told that there's a CBS Saturday Morning watch party going on right now at the Frontenac Public Library. Hi, guys. Thanks for watching Satmo.
Yes, my first job was at a library. We love what you guys do.
I love that.
This week is M for, you guessed it, Mount Rushmore. It's fitting the monument was commissioned nearly a century ago to commemorate 150 years of our country. But the massive sculpture depicting 4 famous presidents has a controversial legacy. It's one of America's best-known monuments.
Who's on Mount Rushmore?
Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know.
Not even one?
Can I have a hint?
Or is it?
Were they presidents?
They were presidents.
Oh God.
Some dead presidents. Yes.
George Washington? Andrew Jackson? I don't know the last one.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and two other guys. Boy, I'm doing great.
Mount Rushmore National Memorial sees more than 2 million visitors a year. But few people we spoke with in New York could tell us much about the 60-foot tall sculpture carved into South Dakota's Black Hills.
This is a 6-foot head, and the head on the mountain is 60 feet.
Sculptor Gutzon Borglum was hired to design an attraction to bring visitors to the state, a tribute to 4 famous American presidents. George Washington to represent the nation's birth, Thomas Jefferson for its growth, Teddy Roosevelt for development, and Abraham Lincoln for preservation. In 1927, some 400 workers, mostly miners, began removing large chunks of granite with dynamite and jackhammers before finer detailing. Construction continued for 14 years.
The sculptures of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, work begins on the head of Abraham Lincoln.
And you give it a nice whack.
Chris Pelletieri is the stone carver based in New York City.
So when you look at Mount Rushmore as someone who does this for a living, what do you see?
I see a sculptor who probably had a tremendous ambition to do big things. It's the salesmanship challenge to say, sure, it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's going to be like people are going to travel from all over the world to see this.
For those commissioning sculptures like the ones here in Pelletieri's studio, part of the appeal is the appearance of permanence, a work of art literally set in stone. But for the Lakota people, indigenous to the land where Mount Rushmore was built, that permanence can feel more like a scar.
This is where we originated. It's like our Garden of Eden. Sitting Bull, Hunkpapa Lakota.
Jeffrey Means is an associate professor of history at the University of Wyoming and a member of the Lakota Nation.
When I see Mount Rushmore, I have a visceral kind of negative reaction to it because it's a symbol. It's a symbol of oppression that continues for Native nations today.
That symbolism is glaring. Borglum had white supremacist leanings and ties to the Ku Klux Klan. And the faces he etched are associated with decades of broken treaties and the seizure of land from the Lakota Nation.
As an American, I always loved the wonderful things that these presidents did, but putting it in the sacred heart of the Black Hills, you can't simply say, gee, it's been a long time, why don't you get over it?
Though Mount Rushmore's history cannot be erased, for better or worse, in all its complexities, it's become a landmark of American culture that means different things to different people as they gaze upon the colossal facade.
Who would you put on your own personal Mount Rushmore?
Susan B. Anthony.
Okay.
Elton John.
Oprah Winfrey.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Elvis.
And then Dave Horgan. I play a little guitar, so what the heck, you know what I mean? This is the first. This is a first. Throwing yourself up on Mount Rushmore. Why not?
That was good, Vlad.
That was a nice history lesson.
Yeah, I think it's a symbol of America and all of our complexities,
Yes.
all of the nuance. And Jeffrey says people should still go to visit Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that we should not.
But it is very nuanced. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
When the sun eclipsed behind the moon and we were looking out the window at this really just a dark matte gray sphere right outside of our window, it was the most unique thing and the most unexpected thing I think that I saw for sure on this entire mission. It was beautiful and just completely unexpected. My brain could not process what I was looking at out the window.
It looks computer generated. It's amazing. Artemis II commander, that was Reed Weissman talking to our Tony Dokoupil about the crew's historic mission to the moon. They returned to Earth, as you know, a week ago, but their voyage around the far side of the moon and back is something they will remember for a lifetime. We all will. Before Artemis blasted off, Skylar Henry met with Charlie Duke, who walked on the moon in 1972 as part of the Apollo 16 mission. It's part of our series, USA to Z, celebrating America's 250th anniversary in July. And And this morning, for the letter N, we're taking a look at NASA.
What a view, isn't it, John? It's absolutely unreal.
In a way, at 90, you're still the youngest person to walk on the moon.
It's a dubious honor. Oh, gosh, it's been a long time.
Space to Charlie Duke is home.
Is there a part of you that wishes you were up there?
Yeah, sort of. I'm still physically qualified, according to NASA, but it's don't call us, we'll call you deal.
This is going to be a good day, Charlie. Yow! Woo! Man, that's a great.
Long retired, but still just as passionate, the former astronaut is reflecting on his time both as support crew and as a member of the Apollo 16 mission.
You shaking like crazy, and you strapped in though real tight. I said, something wrong with this thing. But John was saying, oh, we'll go, and so I said, okay. It's like being on the end of a 360 long foot fishing pole, and you're out there, and some big giant's shaking it down on this end.
That's a ride Duke remembers vividly with his crew members John Young and Ken Mattingly.
We left Earth orbit over Australia, and when we turned, all of a sudden, into my window on the right side floats the Earth about 15,000 miles away.
Duke's space career started in 1966 when NASA selected him to be one of 19 astronauts for that class. He worked on 5 different Apollo missions, including 16. In 1972, it was his turn to suit up.
Come on out here and give me a salute. Big Navy salute. Off the ground, on the floor. There we go.
He spent 71 hours on the lunar surface.
This picture is a picture right here that I left on the moon. And it was the only family picture that was on the moon in the entire Apollo program.
As costs, risks, and political and public interest waned, the Apollo program shuttered.
Liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
NASA pivoted to new goals as decades passed.
The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Now, with the Artemis program, there's renewed momentum.
We love you from the moon. It is awesome to see the side of the moon.
It's a small fraternity the Artemis II astronauts have joined.
Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, we are bonded forever.
It was an adventure more than life-changing. 5 years later, I had this experience and became a believer, and that really was a change in my life. Somewhere in the Bible it says, when God made the earth, he suspended it upon nothing. Well, that's exactly what it looks like. And then it says, God sits enthroned above the circle of the earth. I didn't see God, but I saw the circle.
Boy, Houston, the beauty of this place is absolutely incredible.
Are there times where it's nighttime, moon's up there, you look outside your window and say, I did that?
Yeah. That happens a lot, especially at a half moon, because that's what the phase we landed. And you can see the moon as it progresses towards full, you can see our landing area get brighter and brighter.
More than 50 years later, with Apollo in the rearview mirror, the journey back to the moon is underway with Artemis. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Skylar Henry in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, how amazing.
Can't wait until 2028 when we go back to the moon.
Yes, Artemis 3.
Let's, I remember 4? Oh, yeah.
3.
This week is O for Opportunity. For more than a century, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America has matched young people with volunteer mentors. Our very own Steve Hartman was a Big Brother himself. He looks at how the program helps young people shift their perspective, giving them the opportunity to reach their full potential.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's go meet him.
David Moore is about to change the world, at least this small part of it.
Oh, I can't wait.
His name is Tyrone. Tyrone and David have never met.
Hey, buddy.
But as you'll soon see, they will become like brothers.
Hi.
Thanks to a uniquely American institution that started more than 100 years ago.
So we're at the Tenement Museum on New York's Lower East Side.
Historian Annie Polland says back around the turn of the century, kids in New York, growing up in tenement apartments like this one, had no playgrounds and very little adult supervision. So they were getting into trouble.
And one guy came up with a novel solution.
Yes, so a man named Ernest Coulter was working as a clerk for the court, but also understood the roots of these problems were before they made it into the court system.
Ernest Coulter suggested pairing one of the troubled boys with a true man volunteer to be his big brother, to look after him. And that was the start of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which now has about 200 chapters across the country. Big Brothers Big Sisters CEO Artis Stevens says over the years, the group has helped countless children.
Our best estimation is around 6 million.
6 million kids?
6 million.
From that one guy?
From that one guy.
And that one kind deed.
That is the power, right? But create a ripple effect. And we're the largest youth mentoring organization in the country now because one person said there's something we can do that's a different way we can innovate.
One of those 6 million kids was Robert Dunleavy.
Good to see you.
My little brother. We saw a lot of each other. We did. I threw a lot of pitches to you on this baseball ride, and there was no outfielder, so every ball I threw, and you hit a lot of them, I had to go chase him down. That was 35 years ago. Today, Robert has a family of his own and is co-owner of a construction company. And he credits Big Brothers Big Sisters with at least some of that success.
I look back at it now, and it was an extremely important part of my life to have that involvement.
Robert is one of 3 little brothers I had over the course of about 15 years. And I kept volunteering, if I'm going to be honest, mostly for me. I had no kids at the time, and the program was just a good excuse for me to get out and do kid stuff. You know, play mini golf, eat ice cream. Of course, a lot of other volunteers are far less selfish.
You know, if I can speak life and truth and core values to help a young person out, then I want to do that.
Good answer.
That was my motivation, too.
David is an associate pastor at a Baptist church in Marietta, Georgia, and he is about to meet his new little brother, Tyrone.
Is it nice to meet you?
It's nice to meet you, too.
David and Tyrone spent their first time together just shooting baskets. And that's the thing about volunteering with this group. It doesn't take much.
So what excites you about our match?
I have a good time with my big brother.
That's it. That's it. Yes, sir.
Go to games.
Yeah.
Watch movies.
That's it.
Hang out, stuff like that.
Dude, you sound like a younger me. I love all those things.
Ernest Coulter's simple idea. Still, simply beautiful.
I'm really looking forward to hopefully, connecting with you for years to come.
Years and years.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Steve Hartman in Marietta, Georgia.
We're taking a look at P for preservation. That takes us to Ohio, where one man is on a mission to preserve his historic hometown. Tablertown isn't just a community to David Butcher. His family started it nearly 200 years ago. Jerika Duncan paid a visit and learned what happens when passion meets preservation.
You got the new sign, welcome to Tablertown.
During a winter drive through the small Appalachian community of Tablertown, Ohio.
What is it about this town that is so special?
I think it's one of the earliest African-American communities here.
It is clear that 61-year-old David Butcher takes pride in where he comes from.
When I was a young man, there used to be a softball field here, so this is where the community met. That was the only gathering place.
Tablertown's first settlers arrived in the 1830s. Coal mining brought jobs. Black and white people lived together. But when the coal dried up and later a cyclone destroyed the town, people left. So for the last 20 years, Butcher has been trying to give them a reason to return.
This is where my family originated here in Tablertown, and my 8th great-grandfather emancipated 6 slave children and brought them here after he freed them.
His 8th great-grandfather was a white man named Michael Tabler, and those 6 children he freed were his, with a black woman named Hannah.
When you look at even the tombstones, they tell a story.
Butcher walked us to his great-grandfather's grave.
What do you think Michael Tabler is saying right now?
I think he'd be very proud of our family and our community. We have spread from here clear across the United States. Now people are finding their way back to learn this history.
Parts of that history are on full display at the People of Color Museum, a modest pole barn right next to Butcher's home filled with old photographs, war memorabilia, letters, books, proof, he says, that his town matters.
Tabletown is an American story because
it's part of American history. I mean, our family has participated in every war since the founding of this country, back to the Revolutionary War.
At Ohio University, roughly 20 miles away, Butcher has created dozens of exhibits for students and given tours of the historic Tabletown Church. Any given Sunday, these pews are filled with people from around the area attending the church built by the Tabler family.
My job really is to make sure I pass this history down to the next generation.
A generation now being told to just focus on the positive parts of American history. But Butcher says the painful truth is also worth honoring.
I am standing here before you because the actions of my grandmother to survive and to see that her children survive. So why would I not tell that story?
50 years from now, what would be your hope for Tabletown?
This museum is self-sustaining, self-sufficient, and creating jobs in our community.
People might hear that and with all due respect and go, oh my gosh, he done lost his mind. How is this little museum gonna help to create jobs and, you know, be this economic factor in a town with 50, 60 people? What do you say to people who think about your idea and they think, I don't know, you might be reaching a little bit?
Go visit a museum and ask questions and go see behind the scenes and you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's a story worth celebrating from the family who founded and wants to preserve Tabletown.
You love this town.
I love this community. I love my people. This is why I do this, is because I love my people, I love our culture, and we don't want to see it go away.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Jerika Duncan, Tabletown, Ohio.
This week it's Q for Quarter Pounder. You might grab it at a drive-thru or enjoy one with your family at the kitchen table or not touch it at all. But there is no denying that this meal is uniquely American. Asha Qureshi had the tough assignment of digging into this fast food fave.
A quarter pounder person has a smile a mile around.
McDonald's Quarter Pounder has been a fast food staple since 1977.
What makes it iconic is that you can get one of these anywhere in the world. You can have that experience, and it can take you back 1 year, it can take you back 50 years.
Chad Schaefer is the Golden Arches head chef.
This is our main kitchen.
Show me around. Today, he's doubling as a tour guide in the test kitchen at their headquarters in Chicago.
And then push the button and it'll do it for you. Yep.
Ah, okay. I even got to make my own Quarter Pounder.
We're going to go 2 pickles.
Okay. 2 pickles.
We'll do a little QPC toast.
There we go. Thank you. But fast food dates back to 1921, when the first White Castle opened in Wichita, Kansas.
The history of fast food is one of those great American stories. It came up from the roadsides.
Journalist Adam Chandler wrote Drive-Thru Dreams, chronicling the history of fast food, and says the industry exploded in post-World War II America.
A lot of that happened as a result of the rise of 2-income households, the rise of commutes, and the birth of communities outside of urban centers following post-war life. There is a casual nature to fast food dining that reflects American restlessness, a disdain for pretension, those kinds of big themes that you see in American life and culture throughout our history.
He says the fast food menu reads like a timeline, a snapshot of America's tastes era by era.
2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
Mickey D's Big Mac was created in the heart of the Cold War and became a symbol of American indulgence.
Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce.
Burger King's Whopper and the Quarter Pounder were created to satisfy the demand for fresher ingredients and bigger portions.
Well, it's a start.
In the 90s, the Wendy's Spicy Chicken Sandwich catered to Americans' growing appetite for flavors with a little bit more kick.
Bingo.
Chandler says the fast food franchise model developed by McDonald's corporate founder Ray Kroc in the 1950s fueled the growth of fast food and opened up new avenues to American wealth.
People became millionaires, people who were shut out of wealth creation, people of color, people who didn't have higher education, didn't have access to the network of handshake deals that defined American business in other ways.
You know, we aspire to have 50,000 restaurants by the end of 2027.
Mike Bullington is McDonald's archivist, responsible for preserving the brand's history down to the last Happy Meal toy.
I have one of the coolest jobs.
And you get to keep a lot of toys.
I do. I get to keep a lot of toys. I have I believe one of every Happy Meal toy since it was launched in 1979.
He says this space, full of memorabilia of all shapes, sizes, and colors, is important to archive because it's part and parcel of the American experience.
Is this a Ronald McDonald telephone?
Ronald McDonald telephone.
I even had my own taste of serious nostalgia when he showed me these plates from 1977.
I ate on this plate forever when I was a kid. I haven't seen this in, I can't even say how many decades, but that brings back a lot of memories.
From childhood tchotchkes to the iconic flavors, fast food isn't just something we eat, it's something we remember. For CBS Mornings, I'm Usher Qureshi.
I love that.
That was a great story.
It's great, right?
There is something uniquely American about fast food.
It is, because it's not just about the American cuisine, it's also American pop culture and the American dream. When you think about all of these major multi-billion-dollar fast food companies, they started with one store.
Yeah. Quarter Pounder is also very good.
It's elite. It's elite.
Today is R for reality television, one of the most beloved and controversial genres to come out of the 20th century. No matter how you feel about reality TV, its impact on popular culture cannot be denied. We met with two reality TV veterans to discuss what makes the genre so watchable. This is the true story. True story. What happens when things start being real? Or is it?
Reality television has become a new language through explosive moments, scandals, and internet memes. But what is it about watching real people that has captivated audiences for more than 30 years?
This is the true story.
The true story.
To understand that, we'll need to take a step back to the 90s.
MTV's The Real World.
When a new genre pushed the limits of what television could be.
I thought it'd be fun, I thought it'd be cool, and I was broke.
What do you do?
I'm a cartoonist.
Judd Winnick starred in season 3 of MTV's The Real World, the hit social experiment widely credited for creating modern reality television.
I'm Rachel. I'm Pam.
The show put 7 strangers under one roof.
She wasn't quiet, but she seemed really sweet.
But The Real World would go on to change more than just television.
I don't think even the producers knew what kind of impact it was going to have. And what we're talking about is Pedro Zamora.
Pedro Zamora was one of Winnick's housemates on The Real World.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. He was a 22-year-old openly gay man living with AIDS.
He was funny and soap opera handsome, and at the time, it was remarkable because no one knew anyone was living with AIDS.
You have to understand, AIDS is part of my life.
Zamora's death after the season finale touched the nation.
Pedro became a member of all of our families.
Showing that reality TV could shape how Americans see each other. As reality television began to evolve, it would go from the real world to the Real Housewives.
What would your life be like if you were not a reality TV star?
Do you know, I really think I probably would have cooked another husband.
Reality star Dorinda Medley represents that shift. Her full-time job now is simply being Dorinda Medley. Medley joined the Real Housewives of New York in 2015, where she became a fan favorite.
I'll be honest with you, from day one, I loved it. I saw the camera and I thought, oh, wow.
Yes,
I was like,
Dorinda.
I love the camera and the camera seems to love me.
She's leveraged that fame into spin-offs, including 2 stints on The Traitors and multiple business ventures.
Well, who would have thought that this person here at 61 could start a whole new blossoming career?
It is now a hallmark of the reality TV machine, turning charismatic personalities like Medley into successful brands.
How much empathy are you owed on reality TV?
Josh Laura is a content creator who analyzes pop culture.
We're seeing things like Traitors, The Mob, House of Villains, where these shows now are taking people whose job it is to be a professional reality star. There is now brand deals and social media and careers after this.
But that attention can come at a cost.
Is there also an aspect of it, let's face it, if there's a little bit of messy?
A lot of messy. You have to be able to not care. just say, you know what I put out and what I'm going to give to the world will be more important than some of the bad they're going to see.
For years, critics have questioned the ethics of exploiting questionable behavior on camera.
Not every show is Housewives or Bad Girls Club or Love Island or Love is Blind, right? There are shows like The Amazing Race or Love on the Spectrum where we are seeing these very, very pure, positive representations of humanity.
And few people understand that better than winning.
There are people who weren't born when we did the show who come up and talk to us about him. And this is why he did the show. He did to speak to young people just like him. So they would feel brave and empowered, and they could see that they could live their lives openly. And it worked.
Pedro Zamora really did change how we thought about reality television. As for, and Judd is a gem. He's an incredible person. He's still married to his wife, Penn. And Dorinda is Dorinda.
That's about her.
She's watching with her mom, Diane. Shout out to her mom.
But she always owns it, and she was never obnoxious.
Never.
This week is S for salmon. And while you might be familiar with ordering a fillet for your plate, the fish's significance goes beyond just a meal for some Native American tribes in the Pacific Northwest. Jonathan Vigliani visited one tribe in Washington to see how they're protecting salmon for generations to come.
Salmon. In many ways, they're the lifeblood of the water here in Western Washington. The keystone species provides sustenance for much of the region, like birds, sea lions, orca whales, and of course, humans.
Teaching my son how to do this, you still want to keep the tradition going of a very small net like this, trying to catch one salmon. So you got to hold it this way.
We have a connection with the fish and the water, and you can feel that in your body.
Mike Jerry Jr. shares that sentiment with his father and uncle. They're among more than 3,000 members of the Muckleshoot Indian tribe.
We are salmon people, you know. We come from the water.
Considered Seattle's first people, the tribe is descended from the Duwamish and Upper Puyallup Native peoples who lived on these lands for thousands of years.
There is a term that we use to describe salmon, and the word is shtadad.
Warren King George has served as the Muckleshoot Indian tribe's historian since 1999.
When we talk about natural resources, I can't think of one more critical for the Muckleshoot people than the salmon.
Absolutely, right? That's one of our, it's in our elders' terms, in my traditional teachers' words, those are our relatives.
That relationship plays an important role in the tribe's legends and spiritual practices, including a ceremonial feast in the spring, honoring the first salmon of the season for feeding the tribe.
Where would salmon be today without the tribe?
I hate to say it, but I think that the salmon would be in serious trouble. They would definitely be present, but nobody would be able to enjoy them the way they do today.
But the tribe's access to the salmon hasn't come easy, as they've faced legal and governmental challenges. In the 1960s, members of the tribe participated in fish-in demonstrations, advocating for the right to fish outside the reservation.
There's great risk in any kind of protest. Why risk it for access to salmon? What's so important about salmon?
It's the belief, it's the understanding, and it's the training and education that our ancestors paid forward.
What would it mean to the tribe to lose their access to salmon?
It'd be a devastating blow. Losing access to salmon would set precedents. And it wouldn't stop there. We would lose access to the deer and elk. We'd lose access to the shellfish on the beaches of Puget Sound.
Today, the battle for the salmon is largely an environmental one, as climate change and human interference threaten their natural ecosystem.
We're still losing 5% of the habitat a year. And so we have to do what we can to protect what habitat remains.
Phil Hamilton serves on the Muckleshoot Fish Commission, a bridge between the tribe and government entities that oversees environmental programs.
Back in 2000, I can remember maybe 24 fishermen, a dozen boats at the time. That was it. A lot of us were just doing recreational fishery. We weren't fishing commercially.
Now, the salmon population is strong enough to financially sustain the 500 Muckleshoot fishers and more than 200 boats. Their catch represents 2% of the U.S. natural salmon intake, but there's also a greater goal behind every net.
Everybody enjoys a good fresh salmon. What's really important is that the salmon are here and present today in this river system, and that 4 years from now, more salmon will return. 4 years from now, the next generation will get to have the same opportunity that we have today.
For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Jonathan Vigliotti in Auburn, Washington.
I just love that we're highlighting a Native American community and their culture for our USA to Z series celebrating the 250th birthday of the country. Jonathan, it was such incredible reporting.
I'm going to be honest, when I saw S for salmon, originally I was like, what are you doing here? Okay, like I think there's salmon a lot of places. But there's a lot of rich history. And I mean, as I said in the intro, you just kind of think of it as like a fillet that you eat, but there's just so much history, the environment, and what it means to that community.
And communities that depend on it, absolutely.
How did you learn about Woody Guthrie?
I got the, I guess it's a self-titled Bob Dylan record from the library when I was a kid. I was probably about 14. I think this is the one that was made in '63. It had a tune on it called Song to Woody.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Woody was. Went back to the library.
Yeah.
In the discs that they had there. They had one of Woody Guthrie. I thought, this must be the Woody that he's talking about. It's the only Woody I can find.
Yeah.
Took that back. So first tunes I'm hearing is Hard Traveling, Pastures of Plenty, fun ones like Driving in My Car, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to Woody, though, backwards through Bob. Yeah.
What did you hear when in those songs?
It was just, if America was a person, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no picture of him on the cover or anything like that, so you're just kind of imagining what this is, and it sounded like anyone in my town in Ozark. That's what Woody sounded like.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful.
That's cool.
Yeah. So did you start playing those songs?
I played a lot of Dylan's tunes. I didn't necessarily, of course, everybody learned This Land Is Your Land as soon as you got into the public school system.
Yeah.
You know, and you didn't even know that was Woody. So you know a Woody song before you ever know it's Woody.
Yeah.
You know a Woody Guthrie song before you've ever heard of Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. You know?
It's so interesting because that song, there wasn't really, until the 60s, there wasn't really a big recording of it in the U.S.
No, there was, no standard recording of it or anything.
Yeah.
No, other than, I guess, I don't know when the Lomax recordings or the Moash recordings got released, but
I think in the 50s, but it wasn't like it was a huge. He first recorded it, I think, in '44, but I don't think it was released till early 50s.
Okay.
But it wasn't like a huge hit song. It wasn't.
By then he was already having troubles.
Yeah.
With Huntington's.
Yeah. But it got passed around, like in schools and campfires and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I mean, that's the old way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was a folk song outside of folk music.
Yeah. So you ended up, you read the biography, you read a biography.
Yeah. I think Ed Cray, is the author of the one that I read.
Yeah. When were you reading that?
I was reading that in February of 2024. So I don't know how I got it. I don't know who gave it to me. I don't know what I was doing with it.
Yeah.
But it was the only book that I had when my dad was in the hospital getting open heart surgery.
Wow.
And so I was reading on that and looking at my old man and thinking, if he dies, I didn't even get to know him all that long.
Yeah.
Life's awfully short. Here's a guy in this book who took advantage of every moment, it seems.
Yeah.
I should try to, grab life like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What else did you learn in the book? I haven't read that book. I'm dying to read it.
Yeah. Of course, what I thought was most fascinating was by the time Woody was a little bit older and he was married and living out in Pampa Texas, and that's when I think really the Dust Bowl was going down.
Yeah.
And he was seeing these things firsthand, and his relationships with his wives, his children, and the music. And that you always want to know what's the personal life of these artists that are just kind of legendary to you, and it humanizes them.
Yeah.
You know, in that way.
You're talking about what you said when you heard his music, it sounded like the America that you knew.
Yeah.
Why do we hear that in his songs?
I guess because we never really change all that much. We think that we do.
Yeah.
But this is who we are, and it's who we were. That's why a tune like that, you know, seems so timeless. Songs are written in time, and they belong to a time and a place. I do think that. But sometimes the time and place that they were written in never goes away. And that's what makes them timeless. So, that song in particular.
Yeah, that's what you hear in that song.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It is interesting because it's very durable as a song.
Durable, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, that's Teflon.
No, I mean, it's like, as you say, sometimes it's either the time really doesn't change or it keeps coming back in time somehow.
Yeah.
Do you play This Land often or just for us?
I don't play it at shows.
You don't? Okay.
No. There's verses of This Land Is Your Land that I feel like the tune was sanitized a bit.
Yes.
And that the message it conveys is lost at times.
Yeah.
And the verses that are most popular can be misconstrued. They can mean to people something that the tune doesn't mean. And there's an irony to the song. This land is your land, this land is my land. What land and how on earth do I afford it?
Yeah.
What land? I don't even have ancestors with land. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
If I were to play it more often, I think I would want to add some verses to it.
Well, there were the two verses that were generally taken out.
Yeah. And whether he did that or not, I don't think that's no credit or discredit to him.
No.
I understand that songwriters just take. Sometimes you need to fit it on a 45, or it has to fit, and those are the two that can go, or whatever. But I think that those are some of the two most important ones. Otherwise, you get this other idea about the tune, too sweet, too idealized. Yeah.
Which was not what he meant.
I don't think so. And now if you listen to the body of his work, then you know that can't be what he was trying to convey. But it also depends on who he's singing to, and I think if what he's singing to a bunch of kids, then what's the harm in having ideals? But if you're singing to a bunch of adults, there you have a teaching moment.
That's a great way to put it. But it's also, I think, part of what has kept the song around, in a way, because you can play it both ways.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And some people don't want to see that part of it. But then maybe they do.
Maybe by singing the first verse, you are singing the left out.
Yeah. You finished the Woody Guthrie bio?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were done, what was your feeling about him?
That he was totally human.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the notion I got. And I was glad. I was glad that it wasn't this ballady or monolith. It wasn't that. It was very much a man like me or like anybody else.
This morning, we are up to you for Uncle Sam. You probably recognize him from his white goatee to his red, white, and blue top hat. But who is he really? Meg Oliver wants you to learn a little history.
Here in the small city of Troy, New York, one man boasts a big reputation. Yes, we're talking about Uncle Sam. He's a national icon, but who exactly is he? Cue the Uncle Sam expert, the city of Troy's historian, Catherine Sheehan.
Sam Wilson was a real person. He lived here in Troy. He came here from Menominee, New Hampshire in 1789. Sam Wilson is really best known for supplying beef and pork to the troops during the War of 1812.
Researchers say Wilson's food barrels were stamped with the initials U.S., shorthand for United States, but workers often referred to the abbreviation as Uncle Sam's instead.
How did Sam inspire our national icon, Uncle Sam?
Sam Wilson was a very tall and kind of gangly man. He had lots of nephews that worked for him. The soldiers are like, oh, here comes Uncle Sam and his beef. And it kind of stuck as this kind of moniker, and that kind of moniker starts to slowly creep into our daily lexicon.
It was this iconic poster in 1917 that transformed the image of Uncle Sam into a unifying symbol of national identity and spirit.
It was actually done by the artist James Montgomery Flagg. It was not meant to be a war poster, but the U.S. government liked it so much that they commissioned him to do that.
What is it about that poster? Why do you think that poster resonated with the country?
We wanted to hang on to something. We needed to grab an image that was just ours.
In 1961, Congress passed a resolution recognizing Uncle Sam as the national symbol of the United States. And yet,
do you think most people know who Uncle Sam was inspired by?
No. No, most people don't.
We hit the street to find out.
Do you know who Uncle Sam is?
I've heard of Uncle Sam. Yeah, he's a very important figure in Troy. Yeah.
Do you know who he is?
The father of America.
As in, like, the character?
Do you know who inspired Uncle Sam?
I don't. I feel like I should know that.
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson.
He was born right here in Troy.
Sheehan oversees the Uncle Sam exhibit in Troy, where she hopes to better educate visitors on the man behind the legendary image.
The nation's birthday is coming up. What does that mean in connection with Uncle Sam?
We look at how we have developed as a country, how we've survived through many wars, and carried all the way through that is this image of Uncle Sam representing our country.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Just a few miles down the road, Samuel Wilson is buried at the Oakwood Cemetery, where Bernie Vogel leads tours for visitors from around the world.
What's the reaction from people when they come here for the first time?
Jaw-dropping. They're so excited. His picture is known more than any president or any other famous person, hands down.
Finish this sentence for me. It's important to learn Sam Wilson's story because
he is America. He is American history. And in this 250th year, it's very important to learn not only about him, but all the other things that make the country so great.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Meg Oliver in Troy, New York.
Despite the issues we might have, I still love all things red, white, and blue. I hear the national anthem, you come back, you go to JFK, and it says, welcome to New York, and there's the flag.
Or just welcome home.
I still love that.
Best place on earth.
That's evidence of that.
Today is V for Valor, and we're introducing you to a World War II veteran who epitomizes that word. Jonathan Vigliotti visited Seattle to meet Captain Dick Nelms, a hero whose modesty makes him all the more special.
At 103 years old, you could say Richard Nelms has racked up a few fans over his lifetime.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Once a month, this room in Seattle's Museum of Flight fills up with people eager to hear the story of a man who's become royalty here. What brought you here?
When my wife passed away, I was alone in the house. My son was living close by. And he said, I just heard on TV that the Museum of Flight has a tail gunner on a B-17. Why don't you get out there? You got some things you can tell them. And it was the best thing he ever did for me. If your plane cuts out, you have to know what to do.
That suggestion launched Nelms on a new mission in life.
When we would take off,
to share stories of his experience as a former B-17 pilot in the 8th Air Force during World War II, flying 35 missions over Nazi-controlled Europe.
I went, 72 years without thinking about World War II.
Really?
And all of a sudden, here I am.
72 years without thinking about World War II.
Pretty much.
Why?
Yeah. It never got to me. I'd keep it out there and never let it come in here. And it has helped me now a lot.
Every Saturday, Captain Nelms stands proudly in front of the B-17 flight at the museum.
It's such an honor to meet you.
Volunteering his time and his wisdom as one of the last World War II veterans still alive.
What I do here is to promote the 8th Air Force. Without the 8th Air Force, we may not have won that war. If you get wounded, are you going to stay alive?
One might think that at 103 years old, life would slow down a bit.
On the very first mission, he was lost. He died.
But for Captain Nelms, this journey of reflection is only gaining momentum.
Why is it so important for you to keep these memories, this history alive?
I'm going to take a little bit out of a poem I wrote. It's hard to describe the amount of chagrin when you see a B-17 in a downward spin, knowing that soon it and Earth will collide, killing all those that are still inside. The 8th Air Force had terrible losses, almost 30,000 still there under white crosses. That's one thing that I feel I can take out of that poem and impress people.
From poet to veteran to volunteer, Captain Nelms' life has been defined by valor.
It was reported that.
Though he's often too modest to admit it.
How do you hope to be remembered?
That somebody that went over and came back pretty proud of the damage he did to Hitler's war machine.
The Air Force wanted to honor that bravery with this surprise letter of recognition.
It says, "Dear Captain Richard Nelms, we are honored to recognize and celebrate a life defined by service, resilience, and enduring impact. While titles may not always capture the full measure of a person's contributions, your life and service exemplify the very qualities they are meant to represent: leadership, integrity, and selfless dedication. Sincerely, Kenneth S. Wilbach, General USAF, Chief of Staff."
Wow. You know what I've got to say about that?
What do you have to say about
yes.
that?
They say never meet your heroes. Then there are people like Captain Nelms, who makes you glad you did.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice meeting you.
For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Jonathan Vigliotti in Seattle, Washington.
Speechless. That was so beautiful. And that last line, they say never meet your heroes, and Captain Nelms makes you happy that you did. That was so perfectly said by our Jonathan Vigliotti.
And in a world where I think, you know, as Americans, we're always moving forward, we don't take enough time to go back and appreciate someone like Dick Nelms, who, you know, the people that go and protect our freedom, because freedom is not free, the families that are impacted, it's just such a beautiful piece by Jonathan, remembering that, honoring that, and we should do that when it is not just America 250, but every day.
So true. And I also love how he said he'd kept World War II out of his mind for 72 years to protect himself, right? He wanted to keep that far away from his heart, but now it's World War II and these memories that he's sharing that is really helping him now. I love that. This week is a twofer. W for Wonder Woman, who's also celebrating a milestone birthday this year, turning 85. Can you believe that? Perhaps she's most popularly known as the 70s TV icon played by Linda Carter. But we dug into Wonder Woman's little-known origin story to understand how the complicated feminist continues to inspire Americans. In the sprawling multiverse of comic culture, one woman reigns supreme. Just ask anyone at GalaxyCon in Nashville. Why do you like Wonder Woman?
This is badass. She looks gorgeous. Chef's kiss. It's amazing.
I would say she's the queen bee.
First introduced in 1941, Wonder Woman was described like this: as lovely as Aphrodite, as wise as Athena, with the speed of Mercury and the strength of Hercules. Wonder Woman left Themyscira, a secret island of women, for a place called Man's World, where she led with strength and compassion.
Welcome to the Wonder Museum.
Wow. Just ask Christy Grabow.
These are from the late 70s.
An EMT turned Wonder Woman collector. She displays these items at conventions to raise funds for domestic violence survivors, but dreams of creating a permanent Wonder Woman museum.
Wonder Woman's gotten me through a lot in my life. I grew up in a home with domestic violence, and I was a first responder for a number of years. So reminding myself that my strength might be what gets that other person through their day. And I definitely think Wonder Woman makes me remember that.
But how did this symbol of strength and empowerment become such an enduring part of American pop culture? At New York City's Strand Bookstore, we met with Harvard professor Jill Lepore to find out. She wrote These Truths, A History of the United States and the Secret History of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman debuted in 1941. There had been tons of complaints that comic books were bad for kids and especially super violent. So DC Comics hired this famous consulting psychologist, Dr. William Moulton Marston. He came up with this idea to create a female superhero. This would solve all of their problems.
Why would it solve all of their problems?
Because she would be kind of a goddess of love and peace and truth.
Dr. William Marston tests his latest invention, the love meter.
Marston was the inventor of the lie detector, the inspiration behind Wonder Woman's golden lasso of truth. But Marston kept secrets of his own.
He was married and had children with his wife. His mistress was a former student. He had children with her. They raised their 4 children together as in a 3-way marriage. And it was really his wife and the other woman in the marriage who created Wonder Woman. What Wonder Woman as a character was meant to do was fight for democracy and women's rights by embodying the original commitments of the suffragists.
But just 6 years after Wonder Woman's debut, her creator died in 1947. And like most women in the wake of World War II, Wonder Woman's autonomy diminished. It was during the women's liberation movement of the 1970s that Gloria Steinem reintroduced her as a feminist icon, putting her on the first issue of Ms. magazine, running for president, just like Shirley Chisholm was. Linda Carter then helped solidify Wonder Woman's place in American culture.
I'll make you proud. I promise.
But where is Wonder Woman now? Still appearing in comic books, which brings us back to Nashville's GalaxyCon.
Unfortunately, I didn't see any women who look like me writing comics.
Stephanie Williams is one of the writers behind the comic, the first Black woman to ever write for the main Wonder Woman title.
It's such an honor because comics in themselves, you are always adding to the broader tapestry of things. So for that young woman who is reading the Wonder Woman comics that I've written, I hope that they say, oh, she looks like me.
Why do we need Wonder Woman still today in America?
How much time do you have? We still need her because, again, she is this beacon of hope, and when you have the ability to make change, you go out of your way to do that.
Shout out to Stephanie. She's also been nominated for 2 Eisner Awards. Those are basically the Oscars of comics, including for Best Writer. She's the first Black woman to get that nomination. Shout out to Julia Fleischer, who pitched, wrote, produced this amazing piece. Rob Kaplan, our amazing editor, Myra Zuleta, also worked on this. But what I loved about this is discovering this really complicated backstory. You know, the women behind the man who created Wonder Woman, right, were his wife, Elizabeth, who came up with the idea to come up with a female superhero, and then his mistress was the one typing up all the manuscripts.
It was complicated.
Yes, very complicated. They were suffragists, and so that was part of the thrust of creating Wonder Woman, you know, in this moment, and we're still seeing the impact today.
Well, I'm glad that you got to do this because you are also a Wonder Woman. Doing so much, carrying so much, family, job, everything, so perfect.
Today is X for Xenia. It's a small city in Ohio that was devastated by a tornado more than 50 years ago. In less than 10 minutes, much of the town was destroyed, but the community rebounded and rebuilt. Mark Strassman visited Xenia, a town that has become a symbol of American perseverance.
all in ruins.
Yeah. There was nothing that they could salvage.
Mike Anderson brought us to this empty lot. It's a monument to calamity. Xenia, Ohio's destroyed high school once stood here. The former assistant track coach and several dozen students watched an ominous black cloud draw closer.
When did you realize, uh-oh, we're in trouble here?
As soon as I saw the tornadoes, they said, look at those birds flying around. And I said, guys, that's not birds, that's debris. And so I said, we better get inside.
April 3rd, 1974. A massive, rare F5 tornado hurtled into view. 1 mile wide, winds greater than 300 miles per hour. And X marked the bullseye. X for Xenia.
When you see a funnel coming at you, it gets your attention pretty quickly.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine was a 27-year-old assistant prosecutor hiding in the basement of an office building. He took these damage images with a Super 8mm film camera.
We knew it was hitting. Yes, you could certainly hear it. It was all dark, and everybody's kind of holding on to everybody, and really thought this could be the end.
One of the worst tornadoes in U.S. history pancaked this community of 25,000 people. More than 3,200 buildings, about half the city, destroyed or heavily damaged. President Nixon toured the landscape of rubble, stunned.
How are you? You doing all right?
This is Market Street, the heart of downtown, where the F5 tornado came barreling through. Like so much of the area, this side of the street was mostly destroyed. But on this side, one of the only buildings the tornado could not budge, the Greene County Courthouse.
And I remember thinking, this is a bleeping war zone.
Ohio State Judge Mike Buckwalter, then 17, remembers walking outside into eerie quiet.
Hundreds, if not 1,000 people, faces I saw that were in clinical shock. No one was screaming, no one was crying, no one was yelling, no one was doing anything other than like almost zombified.
32 people in Xenia were killed. 32. Mike Anderson helped save his students by sheltering them in a locker room. His 2 kids at home also survived. Their house fell down around them.
You lost your house.
Yes.
You lost the building where you worked, but you feel lucky.
We were lucky, because there were 32 other families that were not so lucky, that lost people.
Rebuilding Xenia took decades. The city became a symbol of Midwest resilience.
Yes, they might be sorrowful about losing a house or maybe even a friend, but the human spirit just was, let's go, let's move forward.
A monument downtown marks the lives lost. Some people need no reminder.
Yeah, it's indelible in all our minds.
Even 52 years later.
It will be until I die.
Xenia may never forget. Who could? For CBS Mornings, Mark Strassman in Xenia, Ohio.
This morning, for the letter Y, we're taking a look at Yellowstone National Park and how the world's first national park is growing in popularity all these years later. I sat down with wildlife photographer Tom Murphy to learn about the park's rich history through his lens.
Known for its wondrous views, breathtaking scenery, and abundant wildlife. This is Yellowstone National Park, one of the oldest natural treasures on Earth. Nestled in the northwest corner of Wyoming, Yellowstone was established in 1872. It's widely recognized as the world's first national park, setting aside wilderness not for one person, but for the public and the future. There's perhaps no one who's captured the landscape's majesty more closely than wildlife photographer Tom Murphy.
This is a bull. You can tell by the shape of the head. This guy was at least 1,800 to 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
A big guy.
Through his lens, he's seen it all. Over the past 5 decades, wolves, bears, birds, and bison. Murphy's compelling photos help tell the story of the nature and wildlife that live in one of the best preserved wilderness areas on the planet.
For many people, the way that they are going to experience Yellowstone is through your lens.
What does that responsibility mean to you?
I take that responsibility pretty seriously because what I'm trying to do is create connection, the value of wild country. We evolved in wild country. We evolved in wilderness, and I'd like to help people reconnect with what's really important.
Why do you think so many people, their imaginations have been captured and they want to go and experience it for themselves?
There's something special about Yellowstone Park. You don't have to see a bison fighting or a grizzly bear doing whatever. Just listen to the birds. That changes a lot of people's lives.
More than 150 years since its creation, Yellowstone National Park helped define one of America's most enduring conservation ideals, that some places are too meaningful to be consumed, too beautiful to be lost.
When you hear someone has visited Yellowstone, what do you hope that they take home besides pictures that they've snapped?
A connection to the strength of the land, that this place is valuable, beautiful, and therefore let's take care of it. Let's save it for the next 250 years or next 1,000 years. Yellowstone is still a little, relatively small little jewel. If people can understand that a little better through my work, I'm a success.
Yellowstone's popularity has exploded over the past few years since the pandemic, welcoming an average of 4.5 million visitors annually since 2021. Experts say some cowboys may be to thank for that. The hit show Yellowstone has sparked a new fascination with the American West, a trend Entertainment Tonight correspondent Cassie DeLaura has studied closely.
Yellowstone became such a hit because of a number of reasons. The backdrop, the scenery, the cinematography of Yellowstone was a character in itself.
Morning.
Every episode felt like it was a feature film. At its peak, Yellowstone was the #1 scripted series on television. Yellowstone has helped reshape how America views Western culture.
Murphy's pictures have helped do the same since his photography journey began back in 1975. And this summer, his work is reaching millions in a new way, in the form of a U.S. postage stamp featuring his photo of a bison in Yellowstone. Murphy considers it just a small glimpse of what makes his favorite place so special.
America has reached 250 years, but in another 250 years, what do you hope for Yellowstone?
What I hope for Yellowstone, it still creates wonder and people want to come and see it because of its uniqueness, because there's going to be grizzly bears, wolves, wild creatures still living there. So that's my fantasy, is that we'll be mature enough as a country to value those kind of places still, not lose sight of what's ultimately the most valuable, which is wild country.
So grateful to Alyssa Candiotti, Nairi Williams, and Craig Shea for helping on that beautiful piece. It was
gorgeous.
Yeah, it was beautifully shot, beautifully edited, and it was just so cool talking to Tom because all of his pictures, everything's like really cute and nice. But he was like, "Look, this is wildlife out there, and there is a resilience, especially to the bison, that felt so reminiscent of the American journey as well."
I love how he said that we evolved in the wild, right? And that it's so important to stay connected to it. Such a great piece. I feel more at peace after watching that, Kelly. I love that.
Today, we are bringing you our final installment, the letter Z for Generation Z. Born between 1997 and 2012, Gen Z is expected to make up 30% of the U.S. workforce by 2030. So we went to the Brooklyn Art Cafe Happy Medium that is popular with Zoomers. And I sat down with 7 young people to hear their thoughts about inheriting our nation. We're in this arts cafe, which I've never been to before, but apparently this is something you guys like to do.
Yes. I think for us, we're like attached to our devices all day long. So to have an outlet like a place like this and actually like be in the moment more, it's just an opportunity for that we didn't get growing up.
There's this stereotype out there that Gen Z is lazy.
Yeah. I firmly believe the stereotype that Gen Z is lazy is factually incorrect. I have some friends who are so accomplished, and I think it's only a result of extremely hard work.
We all experienced COVID at a very young age. That totally dictated how we socialize and interact in the workplace.
When I'm in school, I think it's the weirdest thing. Everybody sits there silently on a device like this. Nobody says a word. And the professors have to really go out of their way to get us to engage with one another.
It's like our social anxiety goes so crazy. And then also the job security issues we're seeing as a generation. Like the 2010s, you'd see like these executives be like, hey kids, learn to code, job security. And now it's like, well, your job's taken by AI.
The unemployment rate for Americans 22 to 27 is at its highest since the pandemic. And Gen Z also has different workplace expectations from previous generations. They prioritize work-life balance and work that aligns with their values. 92% say authenticity is a key trait.
When I go into any space, I bring myself wholly. I don't have the best version of like professionalism and then myself. And then oftentimes we get backlash as like being unprofessional.
We might not be as bothered by trying to, well, I'm in this corporate space, so let me do this. It's like, no, I'm going to have blue hair or acrylic nails and people are going to accept it.
As the nation at large remains divided on how to tackle key issues, young Americans are too. Women tend to lean left, while men lean right. And most say they are unsatisfied with the two-party system.
Polarization really is the biggest issue plaguing Gen Z right now.
I agree with you. Tell someone, like maybe you tell someone, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and they assume so much about you.
I had people that I've never met or engaged with before that saw me just outside tabled on behalf of Turning Point USA outside my college. All I had was a board that said, what does America mean to you? And I had kids coming up to me telling me that they were going to kirk me. I mean,
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I may not politically agree with you, but I really respect you talking about your political opinion because I think this type of table conversation is really rare and hard to find nowadays.
Yeah. Still, youth voter turnout decreased in the 2024 election, and trust in the nation's institutions has too.
They've never seen institutions or systems that have actually worked for them.
Alex Edgar, a Gen Zer himself, is looking to change that. He started Youth 250 to encourage young Americans to participate in civic life.
It's about how can we come together to build a stronger shared identity and a stronger shared future for our country, and one which actually enables all people to thrive.
The organization has seen a 46% rise in youth engagement at more than 500 institutions in the last 6 months.
Here we are at the anniversary of the United States. And that was only because 20, 30, 40-somethings came together and said, we want to envision something better than the reality in which we live in.
But how do our panelists feel about that future? Do you all feel disheartened by what's to come, or are you hopeful?
With the rise of Mayor Mamdani, who I believe is like someone that I think is able to talk to everyone in all the political spectrum, and having more people in political office, it's that type of mindset, does kind of give like a hope.
As an American Jew, I think the rise in anti-Semitism has been staggering and startling. I've been nervous to wear a Star of David around the city. Someone came up to me and saying, wow, you're really brave for wearing that.
I feel like people are getting more bold in what they say from online talk. You know, they see that a lot of other people share their racist views, and then they think, okay, this is a legitimate view.
Every generation has had its ups and downs. I'm sure people going through World War I or II or the Great Depression thought this is the end of life. So I think there is hope at the end of the tunnel.
So you can tell this was an interesting cross-section of Gen Zers. We've got an extended interview that you can find on youtube.com/CBS Mornings where we show the entirety of our discussion. Yeah. But you had everybody sitting there from Michael, who's the Turning Point USA chapter president, to Phoebe, who didn't agree with him politically, but respected his right and his and wanted to have a respectful conversation. And I just think that it made me hopeful to talk to these kids.
Yeah, I felt that, Vlad.
Yeah. It was, I got to shout out to my producer, Vita Weisblum, Sarah Sroki, and Kristen Chan, who found these young people and brought them together in this space.
It was a peaceful conversation, too.